What happens at grand central station of the will determine how much of God's will we eventually access. Most Christians only ever access a very small part of God's will because of two reasons. Firstly, their will has been weakened. They abdicate the decision-making capacity and allow feelings, fears, and imaginings to overtake them. We need to strengthen our will and bring every feeling and every thought under submission to the Word of God. So when you become a Christian, deep down within you, in your spirit, you become a new creation. Something new happens. The Bible calls it being born again. The problem we've got is our thinking needs to line up with our believing. What difficulties has Kat had in lining up her thinking that's obviously messed up with now what she actually believes?
Well, so there were so many things that my head just wasn't aligned with those things. And for one, because I never had a dad around, I didn't have a father. So I had a really big issue for years. Well, even now it's still quite hard with seeing God as a father figure. And because people refer to him as your dad and as your father all the time. And I was like, well, what does that mean? As far as I'm concerned, a dad is someone who just doesn't care and isn't there ever. And so I had to really change my thinking and see God for who he is as a father. And that was probably my main one. And because of men, and because God is almost predominantly seen as this male figure, I was just I don't trust guys, and I don't trust who God is meant, who you're bringing God across, kind of. So that was my biggest thing, and I had to really shift my thinking into thinking of all the ideals that I'd like to see God, a father, what I would want in a father, and then I had to force myself almost to imagine God as being this God who wants to be all those things to me, and that's where I got my main revelation of who he is from, and that's where I think a lot of things change.
Every one of us are filled with habits. Habits are like strongholds, and strongholds are like cities. The more we feed and strengthen the cities of the new mind, and the more we starve and suffocate the cities of the fallen mind, we get to change the skyline of our minds. And if we can do that, we can get to test drive God's good, pleasing, and perfect will for our lives. So from your history, though, let's imagine you've developed a stronghold of promiscuity. So a stronghold of anything goes, I'll break all the boundaries and all the rules to get what I want in order to please somebody else. Did that continue after you became a Christian?
Yeah, definitely, because it's not just something in my mind that goes overnight, because the forgiveness came straight away, and I did feel that straight away, and I took that on board, that God's grace did cover everything that had happened in my past.
Okay.
So I'm conscious all the time of needing to keep that mindset afresh and keep it on the line of not trying to please people, and that I ultimately am trying to please God with what I'm doing. So in some ways, that thing of trying to please someone all the time has worked out, because I'm trying to please God with my life and what I'm doing. So those characteristics that I used of wanting to just please someone and make someone happy is in some ways worked in my favour when I transfer it across.
But what about the idea that you are a pleasure to God without trying to do a lot to try and please him. In other words, what you try to do for men, you can now try and do for God, and yet isn't the start of your relationship with God that he actually loves you like a daughter? Do you ever feel like you've got to impress him, or is it more natural?
So like from the day that I got saved and made a commitment to God, I knew that those things had gone and that I didn't actually have to work for my salvation anymore. But it is that constant renewing of my mindset that I have to keep focused on.
Our wills are like a muscle. The more we exercise our wills, the stronger they become. Every thought that we have ever had enters the grand central station of the will. It's essential that we grab every thought, take every thought captive, and place it on the trains of faith, not on the trains of temptation, in order to build the cities of habit of grace and truth within our minds. But what about the drivenness to please men?
Yeah.
Surely that drivenness to please men didn't just go overnight. In other words, trains of thought in the fallen part of your mind, a stronghold of insecurity. It takes time to change that and to destroy the tracks that are leading to that insecurity. What about in your own life? Did boys just not feature or continue to feature?
Yeah, so just after my salvation, I moved to Australia. And when I moved to Australia, it was almost like God had taken all guys away from me, and nothing happened in terms of guys. And it was just almost like a dry season for that, which gave me a lot of space to kind of work through the whole emotional past and spiritual ties that I had with men. So I think that it was really hard because it didn't just go overnight, because although there's no guy there to have that temptation or that mindset to still be there, it didn't mean that the mindset didn't disappear. So,
but from the Lord's Prayer, deliver me from temptation, there was a bit of a delivering from zones of temptation by moving to another country.
Yeah. And moving there, was just a fresh start and a new, a deliverance from all that.
Yes. So from a lifestyle that you haven't wanted, that you didn't want but just fell into, to now creating a lifestyle that is God-honouring, it all starts from the grand central station of the will. How have you developed your willpower?
That's quite a hard question, really. To be honest, just on the journey of the day-to-day and coming up with, every season brings something new and a new, trial and test that I've had to use to go back to, square one almost and start that whole willpower thing all over again. And sometimes it's with guys and sometimes it's in other situations that are also connected to my past. But I think that God's given me options and choices along my journey that's ultimately strengthened my willpower, where I've been able to make a choice of, do I want to go back down this path or do I want to walk in something new? And so it was really just the journey and trialing along the way and getting given options of what I could do and sometimes picking the wrong ones and then learning from those mistakes, but then at other times picking the way that God would want me to go and going from there.